Hello, my name is Diane Johnson-Wojnicki, and I am a candidate for a Master of Educational Technology at Boise State University. I am not a teacher by trade. I am a technologist. I have a degree in computer science from Illinois State University, and I worked for many years as an application and database developer. I eventually fell into a niche of technical training. It was the greatest job I ever had. I loved the ability of taking the technical knowledge that I had and working with people and teaching them how to accomplish a goal that would help them in their work environment. I did eventually have children and left the workforce to raise our children, but I always knew that I would go back to work. It just was a matter of when and in what capacity. I wanted to stay in the technical realm. I love technology. I also loved the training, and so I wanted to figure out a way that I could use technology and training and get back into the workforce in using both of them. I did some research, and I found that, people didn't even have to go to the university or to the college to take courses anymore, but they could actually accomplish them online. I found at that point in time also, this is some 5 years ago, Boise State University was the only university that offered an instructional design degree completely 100% online. And that was a very important component to me. So I applied for the program, I was accepted, and the journey began. It was a wonderful, a long, tumultuous at times journey. But I'm nearing the end of it, and I'm feeling very wonderful about my accomplishments and the knowledge that I've gained and the things that I can do today that I could not have done 5 years ago. I entered the program taking 502. The geek technology person in me wanted to get in there and start writing some code. So learning HTML was very challenging, and it was a lot of fun. That was not probably the most exciting and interesting part of 502. It was the types of learning activities that could be accomplished with technology. It was the jigsaw activity. It was a mobile application. It was the virtual field trip. It was a web quest. It was all those types of learning activities that actually were more fascinating to me than the actual HTML code behind it all, that facilitated it, so to speak. 503 was the second course that I took. I thought, I've developed some courses in my day. I was a technical trainer for 10 years. I've written probably 5 or 6 courses. This shouldn't be that difficult. It was a very challenging course for me. I never understood really all of the components that make up a valid methodical learning activity. I learned, that almost any learning activity can be accomplished by answering 3 very basic questions. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And how will we know when we've arrived? The first one, where are we going? That involves an enormous amount of analysis. Who is the learner? What is it exactly that they need to learn in order to accomplish the goal or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish? And then, how do we get there? The strategic design. There is a plethora of strategic designs that can be used to get the learner from where they are now, found out through all the analysis, to where they need to be. And that is one of the beauties of this master's program, is I have actually accomplished learning activities through interactive courseware design, through web-based design, through graphics. I took the graphics course, 506, where I actually was able to learn about what white space means and with the significance of sound and sound with visuals and how that's not always necessarily the best way to do things. 503 gave me the ability to actually look at learners, look at where they need to be, and figure out a strategic way to get there. And for that I will forever be grateful, because I utilize those things every single day in my job as a technical trainer and support specialist. we get a report that there's certain types of issues or a certain type of issue keeps cropping up. Well, we have to look at why is it, and so what is it that the learners need to understand for those problems to stop, rearing their ugly head, so to speak. I'd like to take a moment or two to look at some of the artifacts that I've created during this journey. So this is a unit of instruction that I created for EdTech 506, Graphics for Learning. Under the catalog year that I started this program, this was actually a required course. It was the third course I took during my journey in EdTech. I took HTML, the 502 course, my first course, and as the second course I took instructional design so that I could actually learn the method of designing courses from a pedagogical standpoint. Some of the really important things that I learned in this class was bringing those two concepts together, was the theoretical underpinnings and how to develop a course and the technology of it all. And in EdTech 506, we really focused on the graphics. And one of the things that we talked a lot about was CARP, contrast, in order to pull the learner's eyes where you want them to gaze. So as you can see, the contrast of using the white letters here to help the learner, get through the units of instruction. We talked about alignment, creating these textual blocks to help chunk information for the learner to easily grasp. Each of the lessons is nicely outlined. We talked about repetition to create a sense of harmony. Everything is nicely, neatly organized in these repetitive groups. Extremely important when it comes to visual online learning. And proximity, helping to create the visual cues that an online learner needs. The course itself is fascinating. It moves, first of all, into a brief history lesson using Dippity. And so we kind of take the students on a little bit of an online field trip here, a virtual field trip. We go to Milan, to Italy, where the artist was born. Talk about a little about his first works, and on a little bit more about his contribution to art, which was pretty fascinating. Secondly, we move into defining what this particular type of art is that he does, this chiaroscuro, which is the difference, the contrast between light and dark in painting, which can be extremely dramatic. And then talk, again, focusing on this chunking and the use of white space and uniformity. Very, very important in this. One of the things that I just found to be fascinating about this entire class was just bringing together, again, as I talked about, the technical aspects of the HTML and the building of an actual course with the theoretical underpinnings of what, the correct way to design instructional materials. And then it all, ends up with a nice facilitators page, again, nicely chunked, utilizing white space, etc. This was a fascinating course for me, and I kind of had to show it off. This is the course that I developed in EdTech 511, Interactive Courseware Design. This course was extremely challenging technically for me, but it was also challenging in that it involved not only the design aspects from a learning perspective, instructional technology perspective, of the analysis and the design and that we have to do, but there's also the component of the analysis and design of the technical components of this class. Interactive design, the student literally moves themselves through the learning component. Again, you can see the things that I learned in EdTech 506 as far as visual cues and chunking. We used sound, again, visual cues. And one of the things that I found very useful in EdTech 511 was the use of the storybook. I actually really understood the significance of that storybook, because within interactive courses, every single movement, every single click, every single noise every picture has to be very intricately documented on that storyboard so that the designer can put all of those moving pieces, if you will, together into a complete and accurate instructional unit. This course was very challenging. It allowed the student to take a little online course. Again, you can hear the sound used in the background to give the students some cues as to how well they're doing, etc., etc. Extremely fascinating course at two levels, technically, and then utilizing all of the analysis and design that I have learned through instructional design and in the EdTech program. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the artifacts, just a small fraction of the artifacts that I was able to create as a result of my tenure here as a candidate for Masters of Educational Technology. I will be forever grateful to the professors, to my peers, for helping me gain the knowledge that I have gained. I truly believe that my current position as a specialist in training and support within the healthcare industry are a direct result of the knowledge that I have gained through this program. So I thank you again, and au revoir.